Yeah, that's right. So we don't need to worry about vegans listening.
Hello and welcome to Surviving the Apocalypse, the Nerd's Way. I'm Adam.
And I'm John.
And we're creating this podcast out of boredom, for one, and because we thought it would be quite hilarious at certain points in time. And the purpose of the podcast is literally just to survive the apocalypse with interesting things that perhaps nerds or even, all you other peasants may find interesting. And that should be great. So we have a list of discussions and what have you, which we'll be going through and discussing everything.
Yeah, so as you well know, a passion of both of ours is apocalypse survival. How to survive the end of the world. But of course, our preferred method for the world to end is, besides you taking it over...
Which will happen. I have the plans, and all I need is a thermonuclear device, and everything's in the bag. Seriously. NSA, CIA, I don't have any plans for that. Don't bother looking into me.
So besides that, Adam taking over the world, our preferred method for the end of the world is, of course, zombie apocalypse.
Oh... The Walking Dead. I mean, not the show. I'm literally talking about, the dead walking around the street, devouring everybody.
It's very creepy that you think about it.
It's a utopia, really.
But there's many ways the world can end, so we're trying to keep it generic, like it may be nuclear war, or it might be...
Highly likely.
Second Ice Age, it might be a virus created in a laboratory that kills us all.
Here's hoping.
Or it might just be Facebook goes down and everyone goes crazy and kills each other.
That's probably the most likely, let's face it. I mean, if Facebook went down, there would be chaos. I mean, people wouldn't know what to do with themselves. They'd be walking around just giving people the thumbs up, most likely, before trying to tear them apart because they didn't give them the thumbs up back. Whilst trying to post memes through the mail, which would be a very interesting thing to do.
Mail memes.
Mail meme. Maybe that's something we should start up.
I think so.
Yeah, I don't mind that. Interesting. I'll be printing out some memes tonight and just mailing them. I'll write down your address here. So, but yes, whilst this podcast is designed to be basically just a little bit of an outlet for us as well, I guess, and hopefully you guys or girls or, whatever you identify as.
Probably mostly robots are going to listen to this to work out ways to take over the human race.
I'm hoping. I mean... I would be subservient to a machine if it means I live and slowly wear down their, hardware and software or whatever.
Traitor. You really are a traitor. You're already on their side.
Hi, I'm Adam. Have we met? The first thing we'd like to discuss is probably my favourite thing to discuss on the planet, besides, zombies and chaos, would be a book that I love. A series of books, actually. Written by my favourite author, and if somehow he listens to this, I just want you to know, Mr. Author Man, whose name I will say shortly, you are possibly one of the greatest human beings on the planet, and when I finally do take over the planet, you'll be spared.
That's good to know.
You won't.
Right.
But, of course, the name of the book?
The Name of the Wind. Now everyone's going to be really confused because you opened it in that way. So the book is called Name of the Wind, and I must admit, when Adam first introduced it to me, he was like, John, you need to read this book. And he was like, oh, it's The Name of the Wind. And I was like, seriously, that can't be a good book. Like, someone's gone crazy and they think that the wind has its own
Patrick
name.
Rothfuss. Oh, by the way, then Patrick Rothfuss is the author, and he's just amazing. But he has gone insane. And you've read The Slow Regard of Silent Things. Even he freely admits that is not a book a sane person writes.
Oh, yes, okay. So he made a side novel that is written from the perspective of, someone who sees the world in a different way. Like, everything is a rhyme and a poem, and everything has a strange name. And
I love her so much. But yes, this series is hands down the greatest series of books I've ever read. And yes, I talk it up, and every single person I meet, have a conversation with, one of the first questions I ask is, have you read the Kingkiller Chronicles? And most of the time they say no, so I recommend it. It is an amazing book. And John would particularly like it because it focuses incredibly heavily on music.
I heard from the author himself, Patrick Rothfuss, said that he doesn't know a thing about music, and all of the amazing things that I was like, finally someone gets it, like what it's like to be a musician. He just made it all up, and he doesn't know what it's like to be a music. Mm-hmm. But it connected so incredibly well with the musical part of my soul.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. Even reading that book, I went out and brought a guitar to learn how to play, which I didn't because I very quickly realised I'm no musician. But, that's fine. I will just weep openly when anyone brings up music. But nonetheless, Patrick Rothfuss is an amazing author, and Name of the Wind I cannot recommend high enough. It's, at times, poetic. Like, it's not lines of poetry or anything like that, but he uses such evocative language in his books, which I just find so compelling, and it's glorious. How would you describe, what's the plot of The Name of the Wind? Without spoiling anything, if anyone actually does decide to read it.
A guy gets a shirt, and then he loses his shirt, and then he finds another shirt again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fair. I like to use Patrick Rothfuss's own words, and it says it's about a boy who's trying to get into a library, but he can't. Which is true. I'm not going to give out any spoilers, but it's such a brilliant, like, just the way it's written as well. Like, it uses both present tense and past tense, third person and first person in writing. Obviously, when they're in the bar, in the tavern, it's present tense and first person. But when he's telling it is. I'm pretty sure. Maybe it's not. No, it's not first person. Sorry, I lie. It's still third person, but it's still present and past tense.
Yeah, no, it's the other way around. The story is from first person. I did this, I did that.
Yes, that's correct, yes. Oh, that's right, yes.
And so the bar
is third person and present tense, yeah. But, like, even that in itself I find to be, like, well executed. He's done it wonderfully. Name of the Wind is I've just finished. I got the audiobook as well to listen to while I was at work, and it's solid. Definitely, I'd recommend it. Very, very high up on the list. But I'm trying to remember a couple of things. One of my favourite characters in that is definitely Ori, and she gets introduced at some point. And that's not because she has her own little side adventure, but because of the way she sees the world, which you alluded to earlier on. And I thoroughly enjoy it. I love it. It's got a unique blending of... It's a fantasy setting, first off, of course. But the way it uses magic, obviously... No visual medium here, but I'm doing quotation marks. The way it uses magic, it's described very well, I'd say. And it's good. I like it. I think
one of the things that's greatest about it is it is about magic, but it's more like the science of magic. He's well thought out all of the rules of all of the magic that comes up, except for one particular thing that the book series is most about, without giving away spoilers. But there is some mystery, but also there's just this rigid, I think it's called verisimilitude, where even though you know it's not real, it's described in such detail and so consistently that it feels like it is real. So at the end of each novel, the main character ends up pulling up some great feat that was amazing, but you had the lead up to it so perfectly that you were like, oh, of course he should do that, and he should be able to do that, rather than in a lot of other fantasy novels where it's like, oh, magically I had the spell that was perfect for defeating the dragon.
So many, what's that called? Sword of Truth series. Yeah, that's pretty much basically what you just described there.
A sick firebolt fantasy burn.
Yeah. Yeah, the worst kind. So yes, I find that to be brilliant. I find, I'm trying to remember one of the specific scenes. Well, no, that's Wise Man's Fear, which is another book which we'll review later on.
The second one in the series.
Yeah, the second one in the series. So, for those who do want to read this, and you definitely should, if you don't, you're a peasant, I find you're going to be hating us if you do, because you'll read the first book and realise I need to read the second. You'll read the second, and then you'll have the long wait of Patrick Rothfuss's slow writing. He's probably as bad, maybe, as George R. R. Martin, but in my opinion, Patrick Rothfuss just takes dumps all over George R. R. Martin. A, because his books aren't gory or unnecessarily bloody. They are, I wouldn't say family friendly, because there's obviously the second with Felurian and things like that. But yeah, I find it to be it's good. I think anyone of maybe 12 and up would be able to read this. I reckon, maybe, depending on people's predilections and predispositions. But yeah.
So yes, if anyone is wondering, we are getting royalties for this. There's no other explanation as to why Adam would love it so much.
Yeah, that's of course. But yeah, naming, those are things. I talked about the power of names, essentially. That's kind of what the center of the story, and I guess family, no. One's roots, because he does stay true to his Adama Ra, or Adama Ru roots. But anyway, I think that'll be enough on Name of the Wind, quite frankly. If this was a star rating or a out of 10, Name of the Wind, 10 out of 10 for me. 5 stars, easy. It is what I judge other books to be. Like, they have to stand up against that. And no one has been able to reach that yet. Yet, given time.
Well worth a read.
So what we're going to discuss next is an interesting little thing, because I like the series. I've already hinted at that. And John has yet to watch any. I think he watched like maybe half of the first episode.
Yes.
So this is Game of Thrones, and I have read the books, I've watched the entire series, I like the universe, and it's brilliant. It's a very interesting type of setting. John isn't of the opinion that it doesn't like it, is that correct, would you say?
Well, yes, Well, let me start by this. I feel like there's a big hole that can only be filled by a long-running, slow-paced fantasy series. Like, on TV at the moment, there's a few different very popular and high-budget science fiction shows out there, and they keep churning them out. But there's not a lot of fantasy TV shows, probably because...
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, the setting, you need a lot of sets built and costumes and effects and stuff. So I feel like Game of Thrones fills that void of everyone just wants something that is almost like that Lord of the Rings type thing, but a long-running TV show they can keep watching.
Lord of the Rings, amazing.
So I feel like I want to watch it from that point of view. But then, of course, there's all the strange content of the show.
Incest, murder, things like that.
Yeah, like you were saying with Patrick Rothfuss, compared to the Game of Thrones series of books, the Kingkiller Chronicles, Patrick Rothfuss series of books, is almost family friendly, which is great. So it pleases me to no end that they are going to make, well, a movie, a TV series, and a series of plays.
Oh, really? I didn't know
dedicated to it, yeah.
That is possibly the best news I've heard in a month. That makes me not want to disembowel myself.
Well, that's always a good thing. Better than the other way around. So, no, I don't watch it. Although my friends do occasionally try to convince me to watch it.
Yeah, I mean, I like Game of Thrones, not for the blood violence or anything like that, because it is an interesting story, and I love a good story. There's, my favourite character in it, I don't want to put out spoilers, but my favourite character in it died at the end of the first season. And those who have obviously seen it and everything, and read the books know whom I'm referring to. But I thought he was brilliant, and I do like that George R. R. Martin isn't afraid to kill those type of main characters, to take those type of risks, which is rare for an author in certain respects.
I heard it described as George R. R. Martin loves killing off his characters, but Patrick Rothfuss loves killing off his locations.
Yes.
So it makes you fall in love with where the book's set. Almost as like a character, and then goes, oh, now we're moving, we're going here instead. It's
so annoying, but he's like, that's right, you got to read the Kingkiller Chronicles, it's amazing, and it does talk about that. It does switch locations quite a bit. Speaking of which, I hate Ambrose with a passion. I really hate Ambrose with a passion.
Yeah, so just one of the characters out of Name of the Wind. It's interesting when an author can give you such emotion.
Such vehement and hate for an individual that if that person was real, I wouldn't mind immolating that individual.
Sure, I mean, for you, that isn't saying much.
That hurts, John. How could you say something like that to me? I've been nothing but kind and friendly to you. Couldn't hold that in. But yes, nonetheless, Game of Thrones I enjoy to a certain extent, although they are taking their time releasing the new season. It is 6 more weeks. 6 more weeks. But nonetheless, Game of Thrones, not too bad. I don't recommend it as high to a lot of people. Not because of... Well, it's got some very adult-themed contents, and some of my friends are not into that type of stuff. But, you know, whatevs. Peasants.
So I think one thing we should address is, of course, this podcast being called The Nerd's Survival Guide to the Apocalypse. How does this help people survive the apocalypse?
Entertainment. Now, of course, not going to have a lot in the way of power or electricity, unless you have a generator, a Tesla power pack or whatever it is, or, you know, some type of dark magic to keep electricity running through your home, so you won't be able to watch the medium of Game of Thrones. However, you will be able to read the medium of Game of Thrones, much like the Kingkiller Chronicles. And when it comes to the apocalypse and there's chaos and despair all around you, sometimes it's nice to disappear into a different world for a brief period of time and boost your morale ever so slightly.
Well, we always read the books nowadays to escape the dull and dreariness of modern life. But of course, there may come a time when we read the books to escape the death and destruction of everyday life.
You know, flesh-eating monsters running around trying to, you know, strangle you with your own intestines. That type of stuff I find, you know, I might need an escape from every now and then. Or I'm just going to submerge myself in it and possibly become one of those horrific beings. We'll see how we go. 50-50 chance. But, yeah, that's a fair question. How does Game of Thrones and Name of the Wind and all that type of stuff lead to... well, how does it help in the apocalypse? And for me, the answer is simple. It is simply a morale booster. And good Tinder, if necessary. Though I never, ever recommend burning a book, or else I could potentially burn you.
Unless absolutely necessary. Of course.
Even then.
Oh, okay.
I would be... Like, there's a couple of blank pages, and at the beginning and end of most books, tear those out first. If you can't get a fire starter from that, then you may as well just roll over in a grave. But yeah.
I feel like there's another aspect, and I've noticed this about all the books you've recommended me, of which I can only remember 2. But let's just say all the books that you've recommended me.
Okay.
There's always some element of survival in it. So even the Name of the Wind series, there's this few chapters where he's stuck in the middle of the forest and you don't know how he's going to survive. And also in the Hatchet series of books, where the main character ends up crashing a plane. And
based on true story as well, by the way.
Yeah, right. So these kinds of things are useful for us to read now, so that when the apocalypse does come, we've already got those pathways in our brain thinking out possible scenarios, because we've read them in a book.
Yeah, and those type of things will save your life if you're not caught into a nuclear blast zone or something like that. Or, you know, inadvertently get torn apart by a zombie on your way home to prepare your stuff. But nonetheless, I find that to be an interesting point. I didn't even pick up on that, really. I love Name of the Wind so much. My favourite book. We were discussing this earlier before we started this, and this is a weird, creepy thing. Well, I find it anyways. John, give an example.
Hello.
Well, I was expecting, you know, a sentence, not a single word, but...
Adam is very strange. Yes, I am.
Now, what is that called, John?
Well... I mean, I don't know much about it. I heard that you know everything... Okay. It's called ASMR, which is apparently this phenomenon where if you hear strange, soft sounds, you feel nice or happy or relaxed.
Really wish we had a webcam or a video here, just so everyone could have seen your hand expressions then. It was quite humorous.
I'm sure it was.
But yeah, ASMR. Was it ASMR? Yeah.
Now, of course, for me, it's like fingernails down a blackboard. It creeps me out, and I have to do weird gestures like waving my hands around to be able to contain my stress.
It doesn't take a lot to creep you out, though, let's face that.
Well...
Really?
Okay.
Do you really want to go there? While you were playing the cello, all I did was poke you with the bow and you were creeping out. Well, you're playing the piano, rather. But nonetheless. You're going to try and pull up a video, I say. Very well. Let's see if we can hear what this ASMR
I don't know. This one looks really creepy.
Most of them do.
3D sound. This one's 16 minutes. Okay, well, this.
Well, we're not going to listen to it for 16 minutes.
Let's suppose that you're writing a really important email.
This is... Oh, that's interesting. A wonderful ad. Here we go.
Okay.
Good evening. This is Marie again with you. And
As he...
It's already creepy and it hasn't started.
He's covered his shirt over his face,
3D microphone. For a full
and now he's cringing and waving it away.
this video.
Why? This is just so weird. It's like you can't.
John,
No.
just listen.
All right, next section of the podcast. That's too much. That's too much.
So, okay, no. Okay, well, let's discuss it.
Okay.
Now, I have no...
I feel so much better now.
It's weird. Okay, so let's discuss it, right? ASMR. What is its purpose? Like, what? Like, I don't get any strange feeling from listening to this. But as you've said, this is a literal phenomenon where people are looking at YouTube for these things. I've seen like playlists on Spotify about this nonsense. I think I've listened to about like 2 minutes of one before, and I'm just like, I don't get the point of this. That someone's whispering to me. This is literally boring me into the grave.
If I had to guess, I'd say that it's this kind of like runoff of how, like, when you're a child or whatever, if your mum is like whispering to you and saying, oh, like, I'm going to take care of you, blah, blah, blah. And it's like something that's left in our brain that feels nice when people are talking quietly. Now, of course, for me, when that area of my brain activates, I get terrified and leap onto those bean bags there or shake my hands around incessantly.
I wonder what that says about you. All I know is that listening to it does nothing to me. Maybe it's because I'm dead inside.
Very likely.
Very, very likely. Which is cool for me. I don't really mind. But it just does nothing for me. What is it? Do you even know what it stands for?
No, actually...
It's audio stimulus magic retinal?
Autonomous sensory meridian response.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Well, there you go.
Static-like or tingling sensation on the skin. Just reading it makes me get
You are
creeped
a
out.
strange individual. But okay, anyway, so what should be said about me is if those who don't know or have never met me before or just listening to this for the first time, I thoroughly enjoy a good fright. I love a good scare. I love my horror movies. I love my creepy old stories and everything like that. But no. I love those type of mediums. They don't creep me out so much, but they terrify you. But we'll get to that later on. So, an interesting little topic, which we've touched on already, is music, of course. John likes... Well, doesn't solely like it, but he likes Name of the Wind for the musical response that it gives. John is perhaps one of the most talented musicians I know. And he's just playing the piano, keyboard, with gentle ease. I want jazz. I will... Where's that bow? I'm getting that bow.
No.
Alright, I'm getting the jazz. I'm getting the bow. Give me hardcore jazz. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Oh, that's the stuff. Yep. Jazz me up. That's not jazz. I want Sinatra. No, that's one. Anyway.
Please don't stab me live on the podcast.
We're not live. You can already... I can stab you and you can edit it out, obviously. He says the shock in his eyes. Okay. So yes, the music. Now, this whole podcast is kind of based around, zombie survival and...
How to survive the apocalypse, whatever form it takes. Did I just say the apocalypse?
I think you did. The apocalypse.
Apocalypse. The apocalypse.
The apocalypse. I think that's pretty cool. The apocalypse. Now, anywho. Oh god, he's going to pull out the cello. Let's see how we go.
Okay, that's enough of that.
Well, that's cool. Anyway, so yes, okay, so music, where does it fit into the apocalypse? And where does John fit into? So I've got my little survival group that I've planned with a couple of people, and we'll probably have those people on as guests at some point. But where does John fit into my survival group? I don't think he'd be able to crush a zombie's head with a hammer. Is that a fair thing?
Well, I'd say I'd try to negotiate with the zombies,
Of course.
see if we can get a mutual arrangement of something that makes.
I'll give
all
you
the
part
parties-
of my arm today, and then part of my left foot tomorrow. Yeah, I don't think a mindless creature bent on devouring your insides is totally up for negotiation.
We can differ on that point.
Okay, fair enough. So I've got to kind of look after John when it comes to the apocalypse, so he doesn't try stupid things like this and die horribly. So where does he fit into my group? And the answer is elegant in its simplicity, and that he is, like I said, a magnificent musician. Now, whether I'm on the move or whether I am setting up a camp base somewhere, musical instruments can be relatively lightweight and easy to come by. Guitars, whatever. He will keep the... not darkness, that's not the correct term, but he will keep the black dog at bay at times. Music is a great release for some people, and that is why John has a place in my survival group. I'm sorry, mate, but Caitlin hasn't earned a place yet. No, that's a lie, actually. She's the chronicler. I recant that statement. She is the chronicler.
So my wife's in the team.
She's higher than you are at this stage.
Oh wow, yeah, that's true. I forgot about that.
Lift your game. She's like up there. She's going to be recording all the events.
So if there's 10 people and only rations for 9,
You're
I'm
going
gone.
hungry. Yeah, well, you're gone, but you're going hungry at least. Unless she goes half rations with you. Which should be interesting. Which she probably should, because you know the love and all that stuff. But yeah, that should be cool.
So music does play a part in the apocalypse.
I find it. I reckon it does at a certain point. I mean, let's take consideration for it could be used to set traps. It could be used to lure people in. It could be used to calm people. There's a whole bunch of music has huge arrays of psychological benefits. Studies have proven that time and time again.
All right. Well, it's good to know I will be the bard of the group.
Yes, but your wife is higher placed than you. Let's not forget that. I want you to remember that until you start lifting your game.
Okay.
Now, you've been alluding to this secret for some time. Well, since I got here. John has, well, how do I just explain this? He said he wanted to bring up a topic for conversation.
Yes, that's right, but I can't
He
tell
couldn't
you...
tell me what it was.
I can't tell you what it was, because as soon as I tell it to you, it'll change your response to it.
This is interesting. I like surprises, but at the same time, I don't. So while we do this, I'm going to hold on to my key and prepare to stab you in the leg. He says, alright, keys down, feel free to speak.
Okay.
Okay, continue.
So, a little while ago, you sung a song, a very interesting song. A song that perhaps, as soon as you start singing it, you are singing it forever. Do you remember singing
The song
this?
that never ends.
The song that never ends.
Yeah.
Okay. That's very interesting. So, can you sing us a line of it?
Yes, of course. Okay, so do you want to sing the whole song? Or just a line?
I mean, well, it never ends, right?
Well, I guess that's a fair point. Anyway, so this is a song that never ends, and it goes on and on, my friends. Some people... Yes, continue. That's all I'm doing for now.
You're not going to sing!
Alright, so, this is a song that never ends, and it goes on and on, my friends. Some people started singing it, not knowing what it was, and they'll continue singing it forever, just because this is a song that never
I
ends.
just knew what key we were in.
I don't even know what key I'm in.
What key would that be?
Musical experimentation brought to you by John
This is
Oakley.
the song. No, this is the song. No, don't know.
We'll figure that out afterwards.
So, I have something that's going to blow your mind with
Consider-
regards to this song.
Okay.
When I said blow your mind, I was doing the explosion hand gestures.
And I'm waiting for my mind to leak out my
The
ears.
song that... Let's just Google this. I'm sure everything will make perfect sense. Hey, okay.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Wait, hang on. There we go.
Musical lessons brought to you by John Incorporated. Join now for 20% off your first month.
So,
Okay.
when you listen to the song, let's listen to the song.
This is creepy.
Yes, it goes on and
This is really
on, my
creepy.
friend. Some people started singing it, not knowing what it
This
was.
disturbs me.
And they'll continue singing it forever just because this is the song that doesn't end.
It just doesn't.
Yes, it goes on and on, my friend. That's enough, guys.
Okay. So you noticed it.
It doesn't end.
The song that doesn't end.
Yes.
Yet you were so adamant that it was the song that never ends.
But that's how I was taught it.
Yes, that's right.
But I mean,
But then-
just one moment. I have seen some horrific things in my life. I've seen a man's open rib cage before. That does not compare to what that video just showed me. That was terrifying. Okay.
So when you search for the song that never ends, you get 11 million results. When you search for the song that doesn't end, you get 85 million results.
Good gracious.
Now, so it's obviously called the song that doesn't end, right?
Only for peasants.
Only for peasants, right? But when I found this thing on the internet, right?
Okay, alright.
So because it's on the internet, it must be true.
Of course.
On Reddit, this is the song that I watched this show a lot during my childhood and still sing the song all the time, continuing with never ends, yes it goes on and on, my friends. But these are no longer the words. So then they link to that video I just showed you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, everyone on this thread agrees that it's the song that never ends, not the song that doesn't end.
Yes.
So everyone's adamant of that.
Yeah. Okay, we're getting to something here. I like it. Yeah.
Yet the actual words, as recorded on that YouTube video, 85 million people agree that it doesn't end. Now, let me introduce you to a concept called the Mandela effect.
Okay.
Now, this came from something that people found out a while ago, that a lot of people had the impression that Nelson Mandela died either while in prison or before being imprisoned or something. I don't know.
Okay.
Instead of being in prison, let's say. Because you can't die before being in prison. They don't
No,
imprison
they don't imprison corpses. I mean, that was outlawed about like 3 years ago over here in Australia.
Not that you know anything of the sort.
No, you can't prove anything.
Okay. So a lot of people were under the impression that this happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, if you actually research into it, he wasn't. So there's this strange...
Where a group of people adamantly believe something and it comes true?
Not that it comes true,
Sounds like-
but everyone is convinced that it's true.
Okay.
But then as soon as they try to find any real life evidence of it, it's not true. So there's this theory
Yeah.
that the world is, as we know it,
Yeah.
is real, yes,
Okay.
but also that there's parallel realities.
Mhm.
Quantum physics apparently says
Yes, it does. In fact, we can talk about that on a different episode, but yeah.
many worlds' interpretation of quantum physics, if
Yep.
anyone's aware of it, that there are alternate realities that are almost exactly the same but not quite.
Okay.
So let's say one little change could change so much,
Yeah.
right? If a die rolls and it lands on a 5 instead of a 6.
The whole butterfly flaps its wing and on the other side there's a hurricane.
Yes, that's
Mhm.
right. So little changes in quantum physics can create changes in the rest of the world.
Mhm.
So perhaps there are multiple universes. One where the song is the song that doesn't end, and one where the song is the song that never ends. Because after all, they were just thinking, which one goes a bit better, and they just decided one or the other.
Okay.
But maybe that decision was so close to being one way or the other that there's a lot of universes where it says the song that never ends, and a lot of universes that say it's the song that doesn't end. And of course, you, right now, sitting there, Adam,
Yes, I'm saying it never
you
ends.
are saying it never ends. So you come from the reality that says it never ends, but your consciousness has moved to the reality where it says it doesn't end.
Intriguing. I like it. So it's like an interdimensional bridge. Now, I'm a big fan of Doctor Who, so I'm gonna, and Rick and Morty for that matter. So I'm gonna say yes, I am from another dimension, and I will take over this dimension with a fury and a bloodlust that has never been seen in this realm before.
On second thoughts, perhaps.
Too late. It is now being decided. I'm an alien here, therefore it must come under my domain. I was going to read out a creepypasta, and I think I might save that for next time, or I'll find a decently short one.
So, of course, a creepypasta...
Oh, of course, yeah.
Being a play on words with a copy-paste, being something that people copy-paste around the internet, a creepypasta being where you copy around this story that someone's written that's extremely creepy, almost written in the point of view that it's real sometimes, so that you get very creeped out. Which, to be honest, I don't understand the need for this kind of stuff, because I can just hang out with Adam for like 5 minutes and I get creeped out enough as it is.
Hey, you want to keep hanging out with me, that's your own fault.
Only because of this podcast now. We're never going to see each other outside of that. We're strictly business.
Yeah, you think you have a choice in that matter. I know where you live.
That's true.
And I know how to get into your house unseen and undetected.
See what I mean?
He says with wide eyes. Oh my. So, now, something you've recently gotten into quite heavily is, and this does, now the past couple of conversations, wait, how does the song that doesn't end, or the song that never ends, fit into the apocalypse, and how to survive the apocalypse? How does a nerd survive the apocalypse with that nature?
Oh, right, so you're making me have to prove why this topic I brought up is relevant to the podcast.
Let's see how quick you can think on your feet.
Well, I actually already thought of this, because it's quite simple. Okay. The ability to jump between realities is going to be absolutely paramount to our survival plan.
To find
because there may be another universe where I'm still alive after I've been eaten by a zombie, and you might need me for something.
I might need a bait, if you will. Someone to lead the zombies away, or cover himself over a bunch of grenades or something. I do need my sidekick. That's, I guess, saying that I'm the hero. Hero. Yeah, let's go villain instead.
So there's an alternate universe where there's a nice Adam who's not trying to destroy the world, and therefore the universe
take over.
And
we
we
don't
can
want to destroy the world. Take
over.
The world.
Right.
That's, yeah.
So I can just jump to that reality where there's a nice Adam, and I'll be safe from the apocalypse.
But
there you go.
Want to?
Reality jumps. Relevant to the podcast. Aha! That'll teach you for questioning why I put stuff in.
You were waiting for me to bring that up, weren't you? That's good, I don't mind. Our next topic of conversation actually does have a place in surviving the zombie apocalypse, surviving a nuclear holocaust to a certain degree, I guess. Surviving, well, I guess famine's going to be interesting with this conversation, but nonetheless, all these things, this topic probably is the greatest of surviving the apocalypse. And what is that topic?
Well, lately I've started growing my own food. Now, before you think I'm some hippie who doesn't wear shoes... Oh dear, I'm not wearing shoes right now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's more of a hobby. Like, I'm not against...
I'm only going to eat, organic, farm, fresh eggs. I don't know. No, wait. Hipster vegans don't eat dairy or things like that. I only eat nothing that casts a shadow. That's essentially what you're going for, isn't it? That's not a play on veganism or vegetarianism. I have zero cares if you do that. Essentially, for anyone who's listening, which is probably only about 3 people, Caitlin, and maybe that's about it. I think only your wife is going to be listening to our podcast.
Yeah, that's right. So we don't need to worry about vegans listening. But anyway, so since I'm a hipster vegan who only eats organically grown food with no GMO, I've started growing my own vegetables. At the moment, I have broccoli growing, I have cos lettuce, I have regular lettuce, I have avocados growing in the next room, I have garlic growing, I have blueberry, banana. You better shut me up before I bore you.
Oh, no, that's fine. Here, how about this? I'll say this. He's got a bunch of these, this very strange setup in his spare bedroom, where I walked past it and had to freeze for a solid, 15 seconds, trying to figure out what I was looking at, because I've never seen avocado trees, not trees, little pods and seedlings and what have you, attempting to be grown. So I'm sitting there looking, thinking... this is some dark magic. John has gotten into something that is wrong, and he's trying to summon some extra dimensional being into this world, like Call of Cthulhu stuff going on here. However, no, as usual, my imagination is far more exciting than the reality, because he was just trying to grow avocados. So that worked out quite well, and it is creepy though, just so you're aware of that.
Well, the excuse that I gave you was, yes, it is avocados, not an extra dimensional being. I mean, that's the truth.
You already have one of those in your backyard, the sentient plant, anyways. So.
Yes, that's true. In my backyard, there is the biggest plant you've ever seen, and it probably gets its tendrils into my brain while I sleep and is trying to possess me to kill Adam! Sorry, I don't know what came
I didn't even flinch, but if I did that...
Yeah, right.
Oh, that was great. I love it. But yeah, the sentient plant, real thing. Guarantee us, that's the word.
It'll feature on the next podcast.
Yeah, we'll maybe even put like a photo up somewhere or a video or something.
So, of course, how to survive the apocalypse? We need to know how to grow our own food. Of course, at first, we'll have to live off hunting because it's much easier to get the necessary proteins. But as the population of the native animals decreases, we're going to have to learn to be able to create our own food. And
sustainable. Mm-hmm.
Yes, we've got to create some sustainable way of life, perhaps after the apocalypse, if you will. Post-apocalyptic wasteland, we've got to know how to grow stuff.
Depends on the type of apocalypse that comes through. Maybe that should be a feature on one of the podcasts as well going forth, is a type of situations, what type of apocalypse can come about. The world finance is just exploding, which lead to rioting, famine, chaos, murder, looting, all this type of stuff. Which, yeah, that's my paradise. But, we'll see how things go from there. The interesting part, though, what I've found, is when it comes to growing your own food and things like that, a lot of people will take an easy way out when it comes to, down the line anyways. Instead of growing your own food, people will come and just try to take it from you.
Yes, that's right. So if I'm going to be growing my own food for survival, I'm going to have to be doing it somewhere where people can't find me. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure in future episodes we'll discuss how to optimize your stealth. Make your location unknown.
Well, what should be said as well, actually, here, is a lot of the conversation and topics we'll talk about on this podcast are culturally... Well, they're going to be more relevant to our culture, which is we're from Australia. So over here we have very tight gun laws. Our gun control is very adequate. We don't have a lot of gun violence here in Australia, so therefore that's not something that we rely on when it comes to surviving the apocalypse. If we're in America, we could just, grab a whole bunch of guns and be like, yee-haw! And start firing it into the air.
No stereotypes.
No, of course not. Anyway, not all Americans like that, I guess. Not all. Not all. Oh, sorry, random thought. Sorry, not all who wander are lost. I was thinking Tolkien. But anyway, the growing your own food is a very important part of surviving the apocalypse. But obviously, when you first start out, let's just say, right now while we're recording, a thermonuclear bomb is dropped on, I don't know, DC, Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide, although, why bother with Adelaide? I mean, that's pretty much already been hit by a nuke. And let's say Perth is untouched because that's way too far away for anybody to care about anyways. So anyway, a lot of the world has been, irradiated, and where we are is, nice and safe for the time being. Straight out of the gates, what's going to happen is mass collapse of society. There's going to be, like I said before, rioting, looting, things like that. I think the most prominent thing to be doing is not to join in with anything like that, but gathering your supplies. Most people in their homes have enough food to survive, like a week or two, if you ration it, of course. But, of course, you need to start off straight away by, water is the most important thing. But anyway, we'll go through that in a different podcast, I guess, is, the importance of surviving in that type of environment. But this is the nerd's guide to the apocalypse. So I think the most important thing is entertainment, I find, and escaping reality, which so many of us nerds do, be it through music, be it through books, I'd love to talk about games at one point, but trying to work that out. I mean, solar energy's not going to do it. Wind power's not going to do it. You need a good generator, I guess. But we'll talk about games as a possibility for surviving the apocalypse and how to escape reality and that ever-present despair that comes with knowing that one day something's going to break into your home and eat you and everyone you love.
Oh,
sorry. It's like living with a chihuahua. I just had a thought. Very quick. There is a movie which is coming out, meant to be one of the a really good horror movie.
okay.
We should watch it because I'd love to see your reactions through it.
I will be terrified.
Yes, you will. But it ties into this actual stuff. I think it's called It Only Comes Out at Night. I've only briefly... I think I watched the trailer, but I was very busy at the time. I think I've read like part of the plot. I know that there's a man who lives like out in the woods after some type of worldwide plague, I guess. I'm not too sure. But he finds some other people to come and stay with him, and then ensures... I'm not sure if it's psychological or supernatural, but we'll be watching that.
All right. Future
Sealed.
installment will be doing a review of this terrifying music.
We could actually record some of it while we're watching it. So
Yeah.
that way we can get some escorts of you screaming.
I'll edit out anything copyright, but yes, there'll be me going, ah!
Exactly.
I'm sure.
I'll just laugh as, someone's getting torn apart with their bare hands, I guess.
So, I guess that wraps it up for this episode.
For this episode, yeah, the first episode. Now you have to bear with us. We're obviously going to work out kinks and become a little less awkward, I guess.
Oh, he was looking at me while he was saying
Of course I was, but that's just trying to maintain polite stuff. I'm sure I'm an awkward individual as well with my, crazy demeanour. But it should be good, and I will thoroughly enjoy it. And maybe maybe next episode I'll throw out a short Edgar Allan Poe stuff. I can recite most of it from memory anyways.
That's right.
Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered weak and weary over a many quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I nodded nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping!
Wait, to know what happens after the tapping,
Tune in next week.
Now, of course, we need some sign-off for this podcast, so
Yeah.
perhaps,
We should.
until next time, hope the apocalypse doesn't happen.
Sorry, that doesn't work for me because I hope it does happen.
Until next time, let's hope the apocalypse happens.
Maybe until next time. No, wait. Oh, no. Until next time. No, this is going to be a family show, no swearing.
What? Come on.
Until next time, keep your go bag ready, filled with books, DVDs, and I guess a bit of food.
Nice.
Alright, but for now, we shall talk to you next time, and I hope you have a magnificent week filled with a darkening light. Good night. Hey guys, just a quick little afterward here. We decided to add this at the end of the podcast. We're just about to watch the trailer for It Only Comes Out at Night. Or, rather, It Comes Out at... No, wait.
It comes at night.
No, yes, it does. I don't know where it comes out at night. Wait. It comes at night. Anyway, so...
It would have been creepier if you had have gotten it right the first time.
It would have been, I failed at life. I'm tempted just to end this recording so we can do it again. But we won't, because failures are just as important as successes.
Oh, what are you, a self-help book?
Yeah, maybe I should. No.
Okay.
So we're going to watch this. Alright.
Ready?
Okay, so...
Close the door so it's more scary.
Alright, here we go. Yeah. Oh, yes, because it's just screaming daylight outside. Okay, go ahead. Oh, this following preview has been approved by... And we're gone. He's literally already shaking.
I think that Will and I should be the only ones who go outside for a while.
Okay. Don't...
No, I'm just positioning
Well,
myself.
what makes Stanley sick?
Either way.
Anything.
Is it gonna be something scary?
Positive.
You just opened the door, right? You didn't go in.
I didn't touch the door. You said what?
Don't.
It was already open.
Oh, he's shaking already.
The door was already open when you got there.
What do you mean it was already open?
Let him open it.
Oh. It was just the title.
Oh, there's a creepy eye.
What's behind the door, man?
If you're lying to me, I will kill you.
It's okay. It's okay.
Oh, a puppy. No.
Okay.
Nope.
It's okay.
Oh, brilliant.
Oh, what's behind the door, man?
I think it's meant to be a psychological thriller.
Okay. Because I don't like just jump scare horror movies.
I like it. Shall we do it again, or just are you going to cut that and cut this? I don't know. You're the editing master, aren't you?
I'm going to cut out this whole podcast.